So, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. Exactly, we're talking about 3:14 on a Friday, or possibly a Saturday. Actually, it's a Sunday in the morning. It's a preview to the show we're going to be doing tomorrow. We met a guy named Joe. He's a fucking Dublin guy. It was quite cool, actually. And, we had a few beverages and shit. We had fucking shit going on. We had some fucking drinks in a bar. Was like the fucking coldest ass motherfucking bar you ever want to fucking be in. Which is quite nice, actually. In July in Barcelona. Which is quite nice, man. Yeah, terrible drinks, but anyway. Amazing.
Record.
Okay, record. We're starting.
Yeah. So, today, we'll circle back because when I'm talking about this will bring up what you just told me about.
Okay,
about
let's
somebody talking about how amazingly awesome the EU is and how unbelievably shit America is.
Yeah.
I agree with one of those things.
Yeah, America's shit.
Yeah, but
Nice.
I don't agree with the awesome EU thing.
Neither
The
do I.
European Central Bank just put the interest rate up by they call it 50 basis points. It's a 0.5%, right? So which brings the percentage rate. When they talk about the percentage rate, they talk about the money that the European Central Bank, the interest rate that European Central Bank charges banks, and it's usually like the German National Bank or the Spanish National Bank, and then they charge. So what happens is the European Central Bank lends it to the Spanish National Bank.
Right.
I think anyway. It may actually go to the actual individual banks. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But the idea is like that the European Central Bank gives the money out and has been for the last 2 years at 0%.
Right.
So you borrow money, you just pay back the money. There's no interest.
Yeah.
And the banks borrow the money from them for 0 interest, and then they lend it to you at 5%.
Okay.
So the banks make money
They make money
off of free money.
Right.
Right?
It's not
so
their money.
this is the system that we have in place.
Right.
So the banks for the last and this is the interest rate has been like 0 or near 0 for the last 10 or 15 years from the European Central Bank, as well as the Federal Reserve in the United States.
Right.
And so now they've they've raised the interest rates, and they've raised the interest rates to combat inflation. And what that means is that they're making everybody's mortgage payments go up, their car payments go up, their credit card payments go up, all their interest payments are going up.
Mm-hmm.
So regular people don't have as much money to spend to put money into the economy from the bottom. So you don't go and buy that thing because you don't have as much money in your pocket.
Yeah.
So it slows the economy down, is what they say, right?
Mhm.
But what it really is intended to do, and Larry Summers, who was the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton back in the day, back in the 90s, he said it. He said what America needs is 10% unemployment rate for a couple of years to slow the economy down, to slow down inflation. And basically, it's
Keeping people down.
keeping people down. It's keeping people down and making sure that the money stays where the money belongs
Right.
in their mind, which is up there.
Up the
Right?
top.
So
Yeah.
what happens, like the European Central Bank, raising the interest rate to now 0.5%. It's 0.5% that a big bank, say La Caixa. You're with La Caixa, I'm with La Caixa,
Mhm.
we're all with La Caixa,
Yeah.
right? The biggest bank in Spain, or maybe second biggest, second or third anyway. There's 3 of them.
Okay.
There's fucking La
Sabad-
Caixa, BBVA, and
Sabadell is a big one.
Santander.
Oh,
Sabadell's
Santander.
part of
Oh, yeah,
one
no,
of the other ones.
Santander's
Sabadell
bigger.
got swallowed up by one of them.
Santander is way
Santander. So they borrow money at 0%, right? So let's say they borrow 100,000, right? Just to make the math easy to do, right?
Mhm.
They borrow 100,000,
Yeah.
right? And they lend you 100,000, but they borrow 100,000 and they only have to pay back 100,000, right? They lend it to you.
And I gotta pay
You
back.
got to pay back 100,000 plus interest, and the interest is amortized
Right.
over 30 years. So if you buy a house, right? I'm talking about buying a house for 100,000, right?
Okay.
So if you buy a house for 100,000 over 30 years, and the bank bought the house with money they got for free, they only have to pay back that money.
Right.
then they loaned it to you. And if you have a 5.5% interest rate on a mortgage, after the 30 years, that's 360 payments,
Right.
you're going to wind up paying them back 204,000 euros. This is why banks have so much fucking money.
Yeah.
And this is why banks always have so much money. And this is why all the money gets concentrated up at the top. So when they're talking about what they're really afraid of when they talk about raising interest rates is they're afraid of like all the union activity that's been happening, all this sort of like, you know, like people like, you know, there's more the employment there's like, you know, jobs are more like employers have to compete more to get people to work for them,
Right. So
raise their
workers
wages.
have more to
Exactly.
negotiate with.
So what they're saying now is that the only way to combat inflation is to raise the interest rates. And this is the ECB doing this. The Fed did it in the U.S. like 2 weeks ago or a month ago, and then the ECB does it this week. And then the woman at the head of the fucking ECB, you've got to put her and Klaus Schwab next to each other, because it's fucking Cruella de Vil and fucking Daddy Warbucks. And it's just like these people, like you have Klaus Schwab and Christine LaGarde. And Christine LaGarde, Google a picture of her. I'm gonna put a picture of her up on the fucking thing when I post this up on YouTube, right? She looks like fucking Cruella de Vil. She looks like an evil fucking villain, and she is. And these are the people who have been in charge of what's going on for fucking ever. And you know, so what's happened now is because prices have gone up. And another thing, just one other thing I want to say about inflation. Speaking of Larry Summers, last year Larry Summers came out and said we've put too much money in the economy, which means in Larry Summers' language, we've given people who really were in the shit, we've given them like a little bit too much money. And what he's talking about was that $1,400 fucking stimulus check. Like that's what's fucked up the economy and created inflation. So we need to make those people's lives more miserable so they won't have any money to spend. So then the prices will come down because demand will come down.
And
yeah. But
and people
again,
will have
what
less rights.
what they really mean is they want the employers to be back in control, and the voices of the workers to be like stifled because they're so desperate for a fucking job that they'll take whatever job you're willing to give them and pay whatever you're willing to pay for them.
That seems to be one of the effects of this pandemic that seemed to work in their favor.
Workers' favor, or
now because it's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we have massive crises in Dublin Airport and in the airports in the UK because people don't want to go back and do those shitty jobs on those fucking shitty like precarious contracts that are like, you know, no security, no stability. It's like, no, give me a decent fucking job and I'll come and do it. Give me a decent job, pay me a decent wage, and I'll come and do it. And people are so like, you know, employers are feeling the pinch because this cuts into their profits. So now they get together with their fucking think tank economic guru buddies and they come up with this idea that, okay, we have to fucking crush this movement and we got to bring unemployment up so people are desperate for a fucking job just to feed their fucking families. And this is exactly what these fucking evil ghouls are doing right now.
I mean, there were so many protests and strikes. This is perfect.
This is so
kill the buzz.
It just fits right in. It's like, so yeah, what are we going to do? I don't know, inflation. And like I said, Larry Summers is like the candy man. You know what I mean? He says inflation 3 times and whoa, there it is. Because all these fucking cunts in the fucking boardroom, you know, these CEOs and shit in the boardrooms. I mean, I read this fucking fantastic thing by a woman called Lindsay Owens. She's an economist. I think that's called the Groundworks Cooperative. She was like the fucking Elizabeth Warren's economic advisor, and she advised a couple of other people, like, you know, sort of progressive people in the States on economics. And like, she has this thing out there which she's done, like they've analyzed like the earnings calls from these big companies, and the CEOs are literally there bragging like, look, now's a great time because of the inflation, you know, people's awareness of inflation. Now's a great time to raise the price.
The Applebee's dude.
He
did
that. Applebee's
said
dude.
He fucked up and the email got out.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable.
And this is where they're at. So inflation is like, there may be some of the other things that they're telling you are the cause of inflation, like supply chain and the war in Ukraine and all that shit. But the vast majority of the fucking cause of inflation is profiteering and price gouging by big companies, because their profit calls and their earnings calls, like are like they're saying it themselves. I mean, this is this thing about Lindsay Owens. You should check her out, man. She did a thing on YouTube, like a 20-minute interview with her with some guy. I can't remember his name. I'll find it. I'll put it in the notes and shit. Like she's saying basically, look, these guys are like, they're not bashful about it when they're talking to their friends. I mean, if you watch any of the American business channels, they're fucking going profits off the fucking charts, man. It's great. Profits are up on last year, and last year was COVID, and they didn't suffer any losses in COVID. They're kind of coming up with this like, well, we've lost in COVID, and now we've got to make. They did not.
No.
They made money in COVID.
They
made money in COVID. You know, they consolidated in COVID, and now they're doing it again. And it's, I think it's fucking foolish on their part, because there's only so fucking far you can squeeze people. You know what I mean? There's a saying, I can't remember who, it's an old saying from wherever the fuck, but you know, a revolution is only 3 missed meals away. You know what I mean?
Look at Sri Lanka.
Exactly.
Look at that.
Exactly.
How did that turn out? Was it a month and this all went to shit?
Yeah, the whole fucking place is gone.
A month.
A month. Yeah. I mean, that could happen. I mean, you know, they say it won't happen in the U.S., but I mean, like, but you could have like a fucking actual revolution, that like that fucking clown show on January 6th, but you could have one for fucking real. If you have hungry people, who can't feed their fucking kids,
and they have
and can't, how, I don't know. I think if you squeeze people hard enough, you'll find out how fucking hard people can hit back.
The problem is they've already set them into like this case of like this just state of hysteria already, that maybe they can't ride this out like they think they can. You know, you can't always steer something like that.
I don't know, man. I mean, we can only find out. But I found that the ECB raising the interest rate today was like, I found that so fucking cynical. I mean, there's so many ways you could address this inflation problem that don't involve like beating up on the fucking people at the very bottom of the fucking of the society. You know, like for instance, you could go to all the fucking, if you can raise the interest rates, you can go to all the corporations and companies and say, listen, like we're having a price fix for fucking 6 months. That's it. You can't fucking fire anybody, and you can't raise your prices for fucking 6 months or 8 months, and we'll see how quick fucking inflation stays around.
I mean, I feel like since the financial crisis, like, what was it, 09? Everything
08, 09, yeah.
09, or that time. All that shit about austerity came out much more here in Europe, you know? And it's continued on through after the pandemic, where it's like...
Well, they did austerity in Europe because they already had it in the States.
Yeah.
They've always had it.
Well, yeah. That's a state of existence. I mean, like in Europe, it's like you hear it more, and I feel like maybe they don't realize that their social safety nets are going.
Well, I mean,
they have to go.
I mean, you look at what's happening in Britain now. I mean, there's an election for fucking. I mean, there's like a tiny group of probably, I don't know, if it's 5,000 people, I'd be surprised, who are Conservative Party members. I don't know. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in this, but it's definitely not. In a country of 65 million fucking people, it's not anywhere near a democratic representation. And the same small group of people are going to elect yet again the leader of the country after failing miserably, fucking 4 times.
But miserably.
Yeah. I mean, miserably, like 4 times.
Yeah, but it's the same with Biden.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
These people are in cahoots.
I 100% agree. I mean, I watch American news, and they're talking about what are we going to do about Biden running in 2024? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I mean,
he
it doesn't
didn't do
matter.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, and like then you have all these like weirdo fucking people who are like, you know, who are Republican true believers, and they think that like somehow they think that like Biden went and kissed fucking Saudi Arabia's ass and like, you know, fist pumped with the fucking bin whatever fuck his name is, right? And somehow these people think that Ron DeSantis, when he's president, will not go and do the exact same fucking thing.
I mean, what?
Come on. Really? Pull the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honestly.
But this is just distractions.
Yeah.
This is just stupid shit.
Yeah.
This is just stupid shit.
Anyway, what was your thing about Europe that you were telling me? Sorry.
Oh, no. I just... you know, we need a break before that one because I got to explain a little bit more to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think we got a delivery anyway, so... tell me your story. Sorry, I got a bit carried away because I saw that European Central Bank raise the interest rate thing right before I left the house, and I know raising the interest rate by the European Central Bank. I know the catastrophic down fucking things, and I'm just pissed off. But anyway, you had a European story, as well, so.
No, I was having a chat with this guy who's from here. He's Catalan. And we were just talking about the EU and America in relation to how fucked up this world is. And I was like, yeah, American interventionism is pretty bad. He was, really fucking gung-ho about them being evil.
And he's right.
Yeah, I agreed with this.
Mm.
I just didn't think that he could totally negate every bad thing the EU has done or the countries involved in the EU and who are the driving force behind that. I was like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
It was so diluted. It was like we were jumping around from different conversations, and I was just like, you acknowledge there's globalization. You acknowledge that the same problems that are affecting us, affecting people who are Americans there and here, it's the same shit.
Yep.
And it's all economic. But it was this weird moralistic perspective he was coming from, thinking that the EU was good.
Yeah, maybe he just feels like it makes him feel better to not be part of the thing that he thinks is really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But to moralize and put somebody else down over it, I think is a bit, you're really pushing the boat out, man.
I mean, he didn't make me change my mind. He just made me think he was a fucking idiot. I was just it was shocking to me because I was just I could see his whole demeanor, because we had this conversation for 2.5 hours, was getting angrier because I was whatever, it's it was whataboutism stuff, you know? But what about that? But what about that?
Yeah,
and
that's it's easy to fucking fall down that rabbit hole of that fucking stupid argument.
Well, because there's also another thing of that. It's it's really easy to just go America bad and they're bad for all evil, and then not hold anybody else responsible.
I've lived in Europe for 35 years now.
Yeah.
So
You're used to that.
Well used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, in a pub in rural England, somebody coming up to me and talking about how fucked up American imperialism is, and I'm like, dude, sorry, I'm just gonna fucking. He's like, yeah, but that was years ago. I was like, well, was it
really?
Was it really? Do you know what I mean? I mean, this was probably in 2017. So it was 20 years ago. And he said, no. Hang on a minute. You only gave up Hong Kong in 1997.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Hong Kong, it wasn't real. I was like, yeah, listen, let's just not talk about it because, I get it. The U.S. has done some incredibly fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Over the fucking years. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
But the EU and the UK in particular have fucking held their hand the whole fucking way.
Exactly, because I was thinking to myself, well, if you think they're so whatever, you guys have 27? How many nations are here in the EU?
20, it was 27, now it's 26.
Okay, so,
Unless they added something, they could have added, I don't know, fucking Transnistria or Moldova or some shit like that, just to fucking piss off the Russians. We took a little unscheduled break here because we had to let somebody in. There was a delivery guy outside, and we kind of cut it abruptly. So I thought I'd do this little segue, let everybody hear what's going on. It's a little bit of a Red October music in the background. So enjoy. We'll see you in a second. So we're back, yeah. We had a delivery issue.
We always have technical issues. So what I was saying was, if there's that many nations in the EU, why is it that nobody is responsible, to stand up to them?
Yeah.
It's super weird. I was just I guess you guys just roll over and take it, I was starting to be a bitch, but I was just kind of what the fuck?
It's kind of designed that way. I mean, the EU wasn't some just magnanimous fucking altruistic fucking organization that was just let's all get together and hold hands and be peaceful and happy.
Yeah.
The fucking bankers came up with this shit, man. It was look, how can we move people to where we need them to work for the least and move capital to where we want it? And that was it. It was the free movement. It was the EEC, which is the European Economic Community. Yeah. I think that was in as early as the 50s. I think that started, and then it was that was the European. Anyway, there's the European Economic Area, and then the European Economic Community, and then it turned into the EU.
Bullshit.
It's been since since about 54, 55, after the whole rubble of World War II was cleaned up. And it was basically the U.S. and Western Europe against the Soviet fucking Union.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was why Europe was like why the U.S. and the U.S. banking and the international finance community supported Europe so much was for that reason. And some good shit came out of it. I mean, Europe has there's a lot of shit in Europe that's better than in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, a lot of the things, it makes sense that a lot of social safety nets and everything are common throughout Europe because they were destroyed after World War II.
Well, also, they were right next door to the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was like, we got to stop them because they're giving them all this shit.
Yeah.
We better give them some of this shit. Yeah. That's exactly.
Oh my God.
That's exactly what it was about.
Let them fuck around and give them some fucking healthcare and a bit of education.
And there were huge and very, very, very fucking strong communist and socialist parties all over Europe. All over Europe. I mean, there was a CIA.
Even before World War II.
Even before World War II, and like after World War II in particular, in Italy and Greece.
Right.
I mean, the CIA had an operation called Operation Gladio, and they just like they sunk like millions of fucking dollars, and millions at that time translates to billions now, into like suppressing these movements and corrupting them fucking movements so that the right-wing governments could keep control in Italy and Greece. They really didn't. So like all the social safety network shit that the guy was talking about, which makes Europe so amazing, those were all concessions.
Yeah.
To keep the fucking
next door.
Yeah, to keep the fucking communists at bay. Yeah. That's what that was all about.
They got a pool. You're gonna want a pool.
Exactly. So they, and then Europe, and then in the 90s, after the Soviet Union fell, in the 90s, like Europe just became this just massive fucking tax haven essentially, and it was like it was a business dream. It was a banker's fucking wet dream. It was all about the money. It was all about consolidating financial power, and they've done it. So what is Europe a better place to live in than the U.S.? Absolutely, because I live in fucking Europe, and it's by choice. I could live in the U.S. as well if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But it is a better place because there is a social safety net, and there is like education and healthcare and all that shit. But don't for a minute think that they gave you that shit because they wanted to give you that shit.
And don't think that doesn't go away.
Yeah. That shit can go away tomorrow.
I mean, it is going away.
It is going away. Yeah. They've been eating away. This is what's happened.
The NHS.
This is what Brexit is all about. Is turning like the UK, Britain, into its own little tax haven outside of the tax haven of fucking Europe, and using it to just to be able to do whatever the fuck you want in terms of money laundering and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? And the NHS, they want to sell it off to like the big multinational health conglomerates. I mean, they're already in the UK. Like companies like that company I was telling you about, Aramark. I work for them.
That was crazy.
It's a catering company, so I know it because they handle catering for prisons and hospitals and all that kind of shit. But there's companies like that in every single sector ready to jump in and do the shit that government, like that used to be government fucking like good pensionable good fucking jobs that you couldn't get fired from, that
stability.
It's stability. And to replace them with like short-term contract workers who you can treat like absolute shit. It's the fucking Weyland-Yutani Corporation. I'm telling you, it's Weyland-Yutani. We'll be out on the fucking moon Io, like fucking mining shit, and we'll find an alien fucking body, and it'll come to life, and the shit is that's gonna be the first fucking science fiction movie that actually comes true. It's Alien. It's Alien.
Done.
It's done. It's already done. Fuck the shit. It's in the can.
Fucking
You know what I mean? It's true. It wasn't a fucking science fiction movie at all. It was a prognostication of the future.
Wow.
And
I guess it's not science fiction.
I just like to just privatize. That's Europe's main goal, is just fucking privatize fucking everything. And this is what they do. They did it in Greece. They do it everywhere. They have like the European Monetary Fund, like the European Central Bank and the European Monetary Fund, they go into these countries and they say, we'll give you a loan because you're fucked, because you got all these loans from the fucking German bank and blah blah blah, but you have to cut your fucking pensions in half. You have to like sell the post office off. You have to sell off the fucking the social services industry, because and then we're going to sell them piecemeal to our buddies, and they're all going to be privatized, and your citizens won't be able to afford them, and you'll be like pay to go, and it's just ridiculous, man.
That's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening in Greece.
Yeah,
it's happened.
It's happened in Greece.
Yeah.
So this is the. I mean, I wish I'd have been here with that guy. I would have he probably would have fucking argued me out of it, because people like that you can't like explain to people like that that these are the fucking real things, man.
It's fucking weird that he was so emotionally attached. I wanted to punch him in the face.
I just don't think I mean like you could probably punch him in the face, but you'd only prove his point even more.
I know. No. Agreed. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I
would have liked to watch you punch him in his face.
I really did, because I was like, hold on a second. I was like, I'm not talking about you. I'm like, you have the least to do with this as a person. But I was just saying, like, I was trying to explain to him that, like, you know, you believe, he's like, you know, we at least respect human rights. And I was like, but you have, like, it's like what we talk about. You have your phone.
Please.
That phone should cost what? For $14,000. That's what we talked about,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But because you believe in human rights here and it's fine here, you're cool with that kid and fucking
you got it for free.
Yeah.
On your phone bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you pay into some other corporate. I mean, it's all fucking. I was just saying.
Some kid in Bangladesh made it for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with his like fucking blood, sweat, and maybe his fingers, whoever knows.
And the company that sold it to your phone company made whatever the fuck, but it's not even about
they don't pay taxes.
It's not even about the money they make on these fucking devices anymore. It's about what they can sell you with the device. You know what I mean? It's just having you connected to the fucking network. It's like Skynet. Now I'm referencing to. I'm all over the fucking sci-fi movies from the 80s and 90s, man. Like it's like Skynet. Yeah.
Because when I said that to him, he was like, "That's bullshit. I'm not responsible for that." I'm like, "No, you're not." But you live in a society where the people who are controlling things, they are responsible for that.
Yeah,
and I mean, if you don't want to open your eyes to it, I was like, fine.
But again, you know, it's down to this like other thing that we talk about all the time, like in terms of like people, like it's a, you know, like you probably both agreed on like the vast majority of shit, but it's like a divide and conquer thing. He's better than you. You know what I mean? Like,
but it was like. But the thing that pissed me off the most is like to be so attached to something, and I really don't like people who aren't like critical of themselves or where they're coming from or their viewpoints, because I'm like, how do you know it stands up to anything? Like just like, this is right. I'm the best. I was just like weirded out by it, and I was also like, why are you so emotionally attached to the EU? Like, what the fuck do they do?
It's like they don't even like fucking. Imagine going to a football match and go EU,
like, ew.
Yeah.
It was like, a weird personal.
I mean, yeah.
Like, and I just kind of thought, wow, like he's so gassed up. This is a dude who's just like, he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't do anything.
But I think it's a thing that people need to feel better. Like I've lived in Europe for like 35 years now.
Yeah.
As an American, and you know I'm a tad outspoken, and you know I've people like come up to me and say shit about how fucked up America is, and I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
You are right, but like don't come at me from a fucking position of fucking superiority, because you're part of the fucking European Union, and that's fucked up too. What about wars? What about what? I'm sorry, but what about fucking NATO, which Europe is most definitely a fucking part of?
Don't you sell weapons?
Yeah, doesn't your country sell weapons? Doesn't France make a fucking thing called the Typhoon fighter jet, or you know what I mean, or the fucking it's got a fucking sexy French name. I can't remember the name of the fucking thing. Like a
No, it was so pompous. Like it's just like you piece of shit. Yeah, don't come. Yeah, I was like, sit down. Shut up.
Yeah.
But he lost it. Like, he literally near the end. And then I got mad, and then I got personal. I was like, I'm not going to lie. Like, Europeans are really shitty at this as well. I mean, like, and I was trying to explain to him that, you know, at the beginning of the 20th century, most European empires were kind of declining.
They were in bits.
Except for England. They were still pumping.
Yeah. Then they got, and then the cousin thing happened. The German cousin and the Russian cousin got into a fucking fight.
Yeah.
The German cousin, the Russian cousin, and the Austrian cousin, they all got into a fight, and it turned into fucking World War I.
Yeah.
And it was the cousin fight and the Russian cousin. They were all cousins.
And let's be real, like the U.S. gets all the credit for winning World War II. We talk about this, but like,
Please.
for Europeans, I mean, their countries were devastated,
destroyed.
no infrastructure. So,
destroyed.
like, where were they? Who was going to come out on top? Of course, the people who came in the end and wrote in were like, yeah, we won.
I mean, like...
And America was making more money. I mean, I think they tripled or quadrupled their economy.
I've said this like a million times. The Americans like to take credit. The sort of the popular mythology is that the Americans came in and won both the First World War and the Second World War. But they came in at the very end. And in the First World War, it didn't really make much difference. They tried to do the League of Nations. They tried to do the United Nations the first time, and they were like, nah, nothing really fucking... Because actually nothing really happened in the First World War. Like fucking loads of people died, but nothing happened. But in the Second World War, the U.S. came in at the end, after the Soviets had the Soviets sacrificed 27 million fucking people.
And I mean, America's got a really good game of fighting the war away from home.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had two.
So your entire infrastructure was not only not devastated, but actually built up because you had to produce war equipment. So it was easy to turn that in. And that was where the great, the baby boom and all that shit and all that, the decades of prosperity, the 50s and the 60s in the U.S., that's where that came about. And the 50s and 60s were these decades of great progress and, great, social progress, like working class.
Why?
Well,
Because
for white kids anyway, for white families anyway. Working class sort of participation in the American dream thing, blah, blah. But then as soon as Europe and Japan got rebuilt and could start manufacturing shit, that's when America started to go down. The American manufacturers started to go down.
Why, real competition?
Because they had competition. American capitalism hates competition.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Hates competition.
Isn't that
funny?
It
absolutely hates competition. So... Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I wish I'd been here when the guy was just get him on the show.
This is where it got me pissed off. Was I was just like, I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I'm like, you enjoy. I mean, you had your little fucking tentacles. I was saying them in South America and shit, and I'm like, you guys still reap the benefits of that. You still do.
Even now.
Yeah.
If you call fucking Movistar, if you have a problem with your phone, Movistar, you call Movistar, and you could be talking to somebody in fucking Venezuela or Chile or Peru. They farm out all that business to their other... they're not colonies anymore, but they were fucking colonies.
Yeah, and they treat them like that.
And they do treat them like that. Yeah.
And so to me, it was just you guys you fucked up with World War II, and you can't do it. You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They were on their way to doing it. But also, it's capitalism. It's not. And I don't think it's any more about nationalism. And in that sense, it's it's such a big monster that it eats itself.
No, capitalism has no country.
Yeah. So it was just really funny because I was like, the same people who do it there are doing it there. It doesn't matter.
And they literally are the same people.
That's why sometimes I think people are kind of stupid if they're have a lot of pride and nationalism. I'm like, you should be proud of where you come from, your culture.
I can get that. I can get being proud of being Catalan and having pride in Catalan culture and all that kind of shit. But to be proud of being from the EU?
Yeah. It was
what
weird.
The fuck? Yeah. Or even Spanish, but the EU is it's just like a hodgepodge of countries that were put together to basically, to shore up the bankers' ability to fucking steal from everybody.
No, in his mind, it was the superhero team got together, and I was like,
no, I don't fucking buy that at all.
It was just offensive because especially not being European, sometimes I'm like, yeah, good for you.
This is the thing. This is the thing that's sold to people, which is why it was so easy to sell that anybody who voted for Brexit was a fucking knuckle dragging fucking mouth breather.
No.
But lots of fucking really fucking smart intellectual fucking left people Jeremy Corbyn was anti-Europe because and he objected to the things about Europe that I was saying it turned every country into basically a vassal state of Germany and France.
Yeah, you're giving out the loans.
Yeah, and all the money came from there and went up to there. Yeah. So all the smaller countries were fucked. And it was suddenly you have a European bureaucracy telling you what to do. And that was Jeremy Corbyn's point. Now, there were, like I said, there's some fucking really good shit about the European Union. Human rights in Europe.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, but I caveated that with in Europe.
Yeah.
Once you're in a European country, it's great.
Yeah.
But but you know, and most of the countries have like third level of education, health care, a social welfare system, some degree of housing or housing subsidy, children's allowance. They take care. You know, like there's like all kinds of stuff like that. You know,
workers.
For the workers and for the people at the lower ends. But that only came as a fucking concession.
Yeah.
To keep the fucking communists from taking over. So you know, I get, you know,
like great. You got a hard on for the great.
Yeah, I just don't
weird.
understand. I think like, you know, like sort of so like making people who like voted against Britain against Europe in Brexit, like making them all out to be fucking morons. I think it was a bit disingenuous, and I think people took advantage of sentiments that were, you know, there were some racist sentiments involved, but most certainly to go on this fucking run that everything about Europe is fucking fantastic is just ridiculous. Because Europe has like many faults.
Many.
I mean, the only good thing about it is the fucking, for us regular fucking people, is free movement.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Free movement and but like free movement was always free movement of capital first. It was always free movement of capital. You know, so
you gotta go get your money, right?
No tariffs, so you could produce your shit there and bring it here and sell it for whatever and pay your workers down here whatever and sell it up there for whatever. You know what I mean? It was always about that kind of dynamic, and you know that was a bad part of Europe. And you know, I think I said this last week. Last time we talked kind of about politics and shit was, you know, I don't think Britain should have left the EU. I think Britain should have stayed in. I just think that the Labour Party should have been more, you know,
they should have used their fucking weight to like move some shit, you know?
Yeah, I think the British left should have been fucking stronger.
Yeah.
And not just fucking capitulated so easily to that bullshit about Jeremy Corbyn being a fucking Semite.
All the bad shit the people are going to feel, nobody else.
Exactly.
Nobody else.
Exactly.
It is of no difference or no consequence to people
and it's kind of fucked up the argument, and now that anybody sort of brings up any of the bad shit about Europe is now tarred with the brush of being one of those, you know, knuckle-dragging mouth breathers from the north of England.
Right.
And that was not as an offense to anybody from the north of England, because I agree with like 90% of what you're saying about the fucking EU thing. I just don't agree with the fucking racism shit.
Yeah.
Right? But like I understand what the fucking EU is about, because the EU concentrated all the fucking money that it put into Britain in London, and it told the north of England and the rest of England to fuck off.
Yeah. And they treat them like that.
Yeah, and they treat every country like that. So they do the big capital cities, and then they treat everybody else like shit.
But like literally not human.
Not human, yeah. So
and they purposefully, honestly, educate their people in a way. I don't know. Whenever you meet British people and they're talking about shit, you're like, what? I don't know if you know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but the same thing about like the so-called Trump people in America. I lived in upstate New York, right? Yeah. And upstate New York is Trump country, like where I lived anyway. You know, in the district I live in, has always had a Republican representative.
Okay.
Because it's mostly rural. Like I don't fall, like there's like Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse, and I fall outside of that in the town that I lived in. So it's there's like 5 congressional districts in upstate New York, and I think mine was like 24 or District 24. What the fuck? Always Republican. But they did the same thing with the people who were like, you know, the people who eventually voted for Trump, because a lot of them were like not fucking racist. A lot of them had voted for Barack Obama twice. Because they were promised something that like some shit was going to change, and nothing changed. You know what I mean? And then they voted for Trump out of like fucking frustration, which is exactly, I think. I mean, I'm not British. I'm not from outside of London.
Why they did Brexit.
But I think that's why they did Brexit. I think that's what that was about. It was like frustration with like, you know, this like this whole EU mentality, and it was all about money, and it was all about fucking financialization, and just it was destroying regular people's lives. This neoliberal fucking project, and that is exactly what people were rebelling against when they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And exactly what they were voting for when they voted for Brexit, I think. Anyway,
I think it was just like everything has to stop. You're talking bullshit. You know what I mean? It was like they just wanted whatever wasn't happening right now.
Pretty much, yeah. They just wanted to fucking throw a fucking
Even
petrol bomb.
the vote for Biden was not Trump.
Exactly.
And Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
Like Trump didn't work.
Because the next vote will be for not Biden.
Yeah.
And you'll get somebody who's just like equally
Like
as
Biden,
fucking shit.
Who's also like Trump.
Yeah.
Who's
I
also
mean, it'd be like Ron DeSantis and who the fuck knows, man.
He seems like he's coming out.
He's a fucking moron.
Yeah, he is. Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? And like, well, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, you know, and not only is he a moron, but he's like craven. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. Like anybody who thinks that Ron DeSantis cares about you.
Yeah, but he cares so much about himself, it's enough.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's a politician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah, he's a very rare politician.
Yeah, you gotta have hubris out the wazoo. You
There's
know?
a very rare politician that isn't a complete narcissist. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well.
All right, darling.
All right. We taking a break or are we done?
Take a quick break and then we'll do
break, say bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that was good. I mean, like I had like two very calm shows before this one.
Yeah.
It's very relaxed, and I just got it all out today. I got it built up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to come out.
Yeah, it's got to come out. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So the cops are doing something out here on the street. We better fucking get off the radio
that's
before
weird.
they have us fucking
Coming
taking
to you
it
live. No,
live from fucking like.
No.
As the man beats us down.
Yeah, they're coming through the doors.
Right. I'll see you next week, hon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.